Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video. I know it's been a while since I've done videos and some of you may know I have been very busy with conventions over the last couple of months. I always find that this time of year, especially as convention season dies down, I'm always heavily motivated and inspired to do a lot of work, and lately I've been getting the spark back to do videos and I have a lot of content that I want to film for you guys and I'm very excited. While I can't promise that every single video will be up weekly, I will try my best to get as many videos as I can each month. So it's sort of like sporadic welcome back kind of thing. But of course, you're all here to see the artwork for The Magic of Tea. Now, The Magic of Tea is a brand new art book that I worked on in time for London MCM Comic Con, which was a part of the Teacup Dragons Cafe collection, which also included my first ever set of enamel pins. Now, I'll very quickly show these off, but these are all going to be up on the store as of this week, and you can purchase them all through there. These are a new sort of product for me. It's not something I've had before. I've never had enamel pins. I'm gearing up for next year, which is going to be Prickles' 10-year anniversary. That's right, Prickles is turning 10 next year. I have a lot of merch that I want to make next year for his anniversary, and these are sort of like, you know, little test products for stuff that's going to happen in the future. But yeah, I wanted to show you these that are going to be up and everything that's going to be in The Magic of Tea. The Magic of Tea is my second art book collection to do with Teacup Dragons. In a fantasy-based world, Teacup Dragon is perfect as a cooking helper, but they also act as a companion, as a sort of like pocket dragon almost. I like to think in fantasy-based worlds there are sometimes like munchkin versions of animals, and tiny little dragons are definitely those things, and they're so small that they are teacup sized. But yeah, this is going to be all the artwork that I did for The Magic of Tea, which is the latest art book to come out, and I wanted to go through this in a video and bit by bit share what I did with each of them. There are 36 illustrations in total, so a lot to get through, so let's get started. With the illustrations in this art book, I wanted to do something different from my previous stuff. I wanted to expand the world more a little bit, and thus the Teacup Dragon Cafe was born. So this first illustration is very sort of like a moment of where you have like a sleepy little witch studying away, and the little teacup dragon child is sort of checking up on her. Now, all of these illustrations are done with a media that sort of thing that I always use, which is alcohol markers built up as the base, and then you build up your texture on top with watercolors and pencils. I've done this quite a few times up on this channel, and quite a few people recognize this as one of my favorite techniques to do, because your alcohol marker acts as a really beautiful base, and then you can build up a lot of gorgeous texture with this. But yeah, this one is a little study buddy. He's helping, making sure that you are all okay. So that's that one. Now, this illustration is actually what started the Teacup Dragon Cafe collection. So this is what kind of inspired all of these enamel pins, and there is a Kickstarter that I'm working on for next year where I will be doing like totes and tea towels and all that. But if you see me on social media, you already know all this. But yeah, this is sort of like kind of what started it all. I love like, you know, that the cat cafes and the dog cafes and like, you know, all the little cafes that you can go to. And I was like, of course, in a magic based universe, because the Teacup Dragons are a part of Maureen Prickles' universe, the Teacup Dragon Cafe would absolutely be a thing. It's a place where you could take your existing Teacup Dragons or go and like adopt a Teacup Dragon, or maybe just sit and enjoy little tiny dragons being with you all day. These Teacup Dragons are very well behaved, although they may steal an occasional sugar cube or two, but they won't sit in your tea unless you allow it. But yeah, I love this illustration so much. I really love like the interaction of these two, and then the interaction of these two, and then you've just got this sort of like character who's just sort of like sat there with a little teacup dragon on her head. I think it's so cute. But this is one of my favourite illustrations I did as a part of this series. Now this one is called The Little Gardener, and I like to think that Teacup Dragons have like lots of little hobbies, and like this little guy just, you know, wants to help with the garden. They've got a little hat. And then there's a little snail, little bug. I like to think that teacup dragons have hobbies and they enjoy like very relaxing jobs like gardening and discovering new things, and the teacup dragons are very curious little critters. So this is a little gardener. I really wanted to do some family scenes. There's more than one in here, quite frankly, because I really love it, but I like to I really like this little guy. He's just stealing a little sugar cube, and then this one's like, what are you doing? This is mine. A fun little fact about the teacup dragons is they are notorious for sugary treats. So I like to think that if you ever leave like sugary treats around them, they absolutely will steal and hoard them. But I like this one a lot because there's a lot of action, there's a lot of stuff that's going on in here, and it's just a little mama looking after its sort of like babies. I think if I was to redo this one, I would change the background element. I wanted to keep the background very simple because there's a lot going on here, but I feel like maybe the background is too plain personally for me. But I really like this illustration. I feel like it tells a lot of stories about these little babies and who they're going to grow up to be and all their little personalities. Here's a little study child. This one's called the librarian. I like to think that some of the teacup dragons are always very curious about what you're doing and what you're reading. Sort of like a normal animal anyway. If you may see in the bloopers, my cat likes to, you know, sit around and help out a lot. But I like to think that they always kind of copy what you do. And this little baby has its own little pile of books and is reading. And this one works at a library with a librarian. And I think this one's so, look at his little face, his little glasses. Ugh, I really like a lot of these. This one is another like scene containing a lot of dragons, and this one's called the chase, I can't speak, of the sugar cube. And as you can see here, this main one has a sugar cube and they're sort of like chasing each other around to try and get that sugar cube. I really like a lot of the action that's in this piece. I managed to add a lot of depth more into the background. What I was trying to do is I would add washes onto the background to try and make these three stand out more, because these are in the foreground, these are in the background, and try and have all those elements going in. And I think it kind of worked. It's one of those with traditional stuff, sometimes you can have like really strong ideas and then other not so strong. This one I really like. I love it a lot. And maybe if I was to do it again, maybe tweak some of the colours a little bit, but I really like it a lot. Now this one's a joke. So you know the film The Girl with a Dragon Tattoo? I thought it'd be really funny to have the girl with a teacup dragon tattoo. But so I really wanted to have this character with this elaborate like sort of like teacup dragon style like tattoo. I thought it'd be really funny. It's very reminiscent of the Zodiac Witch piece I did a few years back, which I really want to redo because it was just one of my most popular pieces. And I really, one thing I noticed with this book in particular is I tend to lean a lot more in the purples this time, which was interesting. But I think it's because it's the magic of tea, I ended up using a lot more purples this time. But yes, I love it. You might hear some construction work, apologies about that. One of my neighbours is having work done on their roof. This one was done with gouache with pencils on top, and this one originally was going to be the cover. And this is very reminiscent of two of the pieces I've done, which is called Heart of Tea and The Art of Tea, which was what the original book was called. And I was actually redoing some of my original keychains that I've got, because I've got these really cute keychains with like teacup dragons on them, kind of like this, and I wanted to redo some of them as like teacup dragon like illustrations within itself. And this one is based on the Galaxy Dragon with like a little witch hat. I feel like the only thing that I'm not happy about with this is that the colours ended up a lot more muted than what I wanted. I ended up boosting them up for the books so that they were a lot more brighter to more what I wanted, but I was kind of inspired by with this painting technique, I was kind of inspired by Howl's Moving Castle to try and create like that sort of like dapper effect, but I really want to do like a piece fully inspired by all of that. So then this one is another illustration which I'm in particular like quite proud of, quite frankly. This is based on those flowering tea that you can get. You can get like jasmine, and you can get like, they're all like a different type of tea. I'm obsessed with them. I have like a few that I'm obsessed with. It's one of my favorite teas, and I like to think that they're little worlds. So these are like micro teacup dragons. But I just feel like it's a really sweet little world. And this is like one of my favorite renderings like out of all the pieces, because I really love like all this depth and then this like green color. I just think there's something about green and pinks here that work really, really well, and I'm really happy with it. So this one is based on, you know, the bone china that you see, the blue and the white. So this one is entirely based on like bone china. I actually want to do a washi tape inspired by this one in particular, because I really love the design overall. And I've been doing a lot of teacup dragon washi tapes lately, and I was thinking this would be a perfect inspirational piece for it. This is a mixture of gouache, alcohol markers, and acrylic ink as well, to be able to create all the different colours and all the different effects. I'm really happy with this one. If there was things that I could tweak, honestly, I think I would make these lean more green than blue. The limited palette worked really well, but after a bit, everything becomes a bit blendy. And as much as like, you know, this dragon is made like bone china and then the cup is made of bone china, I feel like sometimes it can be a bit too blendy. So you'll notice I've added like little bits of pink and yellow in certain areas to try and make them pop against all of the blue, because it can be a bit too samey and blendy. This one is one of my favorites. I love this one so much. This one is based on mushroom tea, essentially. I love this one so much. It gives such like a Feywild vibe to it, and I think this was one of the first pieces I actually finished for the book. This has alcohol markers as the base, and then I built up a lot with acrylic pens to be able to create some of the whiter effects, pencils and watercolour to be able to blend some of these colours. This one, I'm going to be honest, I personally feel is the most successful in the book. I really love this piece an awful lot. And in fact, this is probably the piece that I'm going to end up keeping like, for quite a while, because I'm very proud of it. I want to do more mushroom themed teas, I think. I think if I do another book, it's going to be very Alice in Wonderland-y, like very high fantasy book. I don't know, we'll see. So this one is actually a rendition of another book, another piece that I did called Study Buddy. I'm going to move the smaller pieces to the bottom. But yeah, this one's like reminiscent of Study Buddy, but I sort of wanted to do an updated version. Study Buddy was a piece that I did for the first art book, and it's one of my favourite illustrations that I did for the first art book. And I wanted this to sort of pay homage, but not completely copy the original Study Buddy. And this time, this little guy has their own book with their own bookmark, and you may recognise a certain character in this bookmark here. I really like the rendering of this piece a lot. Honestly, the only thing that I personally get sort of like, one thing I really want to do is I want to push my shadows a lot more. I feel like the shadows could have been really pushed on this a lot more, and I did quite a few bits of tweaking in the final piece to get what I wanted, but like I feel like the shadows could have been pushed a lot more in this, because they're still quite a bit light. I'm always really hesitant to go overboard with my shadows, but you know, I'm really, look at them reading. Ugh. A lot of me is just gushing over how cute some of these are. This one's a very simple one. I wanted to do a very high fantasy character and a little baby. Some of these are just a lot more simpler than others, mostly because I wanted to have the high concept pieces and then the low concept pieces. This one's actually going to be a page in the colouring book that I'm releasing next year as well. So like you can see, it's just alcohol markers with watercolour based on top with a little teacup dragon. And her little like thing reminds me of moth wings almost. She's pretty. I like the colour palette in this one. This one is based on citrus tea. I really like doing like limited palette series. This one isn't as successful as I want it to be. I love the angle that's here. I love this sort of swooping mechanism, and I'm quite proud of how I managed to get the oranges. I feel like there should be a bit more texture on here, and like this part really bugs me in the illustration, but I still feel like it's a very successful illustration overall. One of the things that I tend to find myself is I can be quite critical with my work, but you've always got to go back and find the things that you like about it and then, you know, talk on that. I feel like we go back and forth. This one is another firm favourite of the book. This one is based on sleepy tea, and it's actually based on a keyring that I did, which is a sleepy time dragon keyring. I haven't quite got it to hand, but it's completely based on like lunar flowers and having that sort of like illustration. I just think the palette just really works here. Like, it's something about all these blues, and then you like soften it up with the yellows and the oranges. It just adds to that overall like very calming effect, and that's the one thing I really wanted this with this piece. I want it to feel very calm, and I just love this. It's, I don't know, yet again, this is one of my all-time favorites, and I'm very happy with this piece. Next up we have the Galaxy Dragon. This is a Galaxy tea. I'll see myself out. This one is, yet again, most of these are alcohol markers built up with texture, and this one yet again is based on a keyring that I've done. I think what my plan was is I wanted to have proper art to go with the keyrings, because a lot of people ask me for prints of the, you know, the little teacup dragons as keyrings that I've done. They asked for prints of this, and that design feels very, very simplified to me, so I wanted to have prints that correlated to the keyrings, because when you put the keyrings together they make a rainbow. Look at that gold. Oh. This is based on rose tea. I really wanted a very sweet Lolita themed, and I was using like a lot of like pinks and lots of hues, and if you look into the background you can see like these little tiny roses. I wanted a very Lolita themed tea, and that's pretty much what this is just themed on. It's themed on Lolita. There's another little hobby dragon, and this one is crocheting. It's making themselves a little scarf. I want to do more dragons that are doing hobbies, so to speak. I've had a lot of people ask me for other hobbies now, and now that I've started them, I'm going to have to do a few more. But this one in particular was for the art book, because I had a few of them that I really wanted to do. And, you know, I'm pretty happy with them. I really am. There is another one that's painting that looks like Bob Ross, and it gives me a lot of joy. But I really like how I pushed the darkness a lot more with this piece. I feel like maybe I should have gone for a warm tone with this dragon, but you know, you can always look back at things. So this is based on the seasonal teas. I wanted to do a series that was based on like the 4 seasons, and this one is actually based on, yet again, another keyring that I did. So this one is autumn. As you can see, little autumnal dragon. This one is one of my most popular keyrings. The character's name is Pumpkin, and they're just a little pumpkin, little old dragon that loves to read, and that's actually what the enamel pin is based on too. This one is based on Pumpkin, this little one, and you know, that one is based on Luna. That one is based on Nubella. So like, you know, I've got quite a few ones that are sort of based on the same kind of like concept and ideas, because I like to have collections of things that all go together. And then this one is summer. I really wanted to go for very citrus, very colourful vibes, and yet again, a very limited palette. But I had to make sure that it was different enough from the other citrus dragon I did, because the other citrus dragon was actually done before I did the series of the seasons. So yeah, this one is summer, based on all those summery flavours that we know and love. Lots of citrus, lots of pow flavour. This one is spring. This character is called Sakura, loosely based on like Sakura tea, and this is kind of what this pin is based on. And you can see like I kind of went for a very muted but warming palette, and this one has one of my favourite horn designs because they're little cherry blossoms. Sakura tea is actually very, very nice. It's based on like the cherry blossom tea, and it's really, really nice. It's quite sweet actually. I enjoy it. That's spring. then this one's winter. Funnily enough, we are going into winter now. I wanted to have like a cozy sweater vibes with the mug, and like very, very warm colours. I didn't want to go for very particular like winter tones, which would all been blues, or like Christmas tones, which would have been reds and greens. I wanted to have a very warming palette with this, and this is based on like, you know, like warm apple or warm like, oh, what's it called, like mulled wine kind of. This is based on like mulled wine, and that's what they've got a little scar. This one's so sweet. And here's Bob Ross. I couldn't do a painting dragon without paying homage to like a very famous artist, and this is kind of what this is based on. I boosted the colours actually for the art book for this, because it ended up a lot more muted than what I wanted. But as you can see, the teacup has got lots of paint swirls on them. The mug has loads of like hanging paints, and they're painting a cute little scenery, maybe, you know, a happy little tree. And they've got a little bird. I was gonna give them like, you know, very, very like thingy, and I was like, no, that's too much. And there you are. I love this one. This one makes me really happy. And then this one is based on tea leaves. Before we go into the other small pieces, I really wanted to do with the magic of tea. I really wanted to pay a lot of homage to like tea leaf reading and like magic and all that. I didn't do a tarot piece for this one, because for the first art book there was very much a piece based on tarot, and I didn't want to sort of like pay too much homage to the original pieces, because, you know, there's no point otherwise. But this is kind of got like a magic card, like a tarot card element to it, and then the teacups with the tea leaves, and that's sort of what it's based on. To be honest, if I was to redo this, that's slightly off to me. I feel like this axis is completely off, but the dragon itself I really do love. Kind of reminds me of Spyro, the colouring. And now we go on to the smaller pieces. Now these are actually, a lot of these are redos of the first ever teacup dragons I did, which was 4 years ago now, if you can believe it. I actually started doing teacup dragons around about 4 years ago. So this one is oolong, and these are based on tea labels that you can have in a like a cabinet or anything like that. So these are actually being ordered as tea labels. So you've got oolong, very beautiful dragon, I love this one. Peach, I love how Peach looks here. This is one of my favorite like angles of teacup dragons. I love doing this movement. It makes me very, very happy. Ginger, oh, I love ginger. I tried to base the sort of scale pattern on like what a ginger root looks like, and ginger, honey and lemon. I really love this. Like there's a few pieces here I really enjoy. English breakfast, you know, I've put like a jam and like some toast, and then there's milk in the background, because I like to have my English breakfast with milk. But yeah, it's so cute. Chamomile, I adore this piece. Yet again, like these are redos of some original pieces, and like this one honestly is one of my favorite redos that I did, because the original chamomile looks so different to what this is. It's a bit hard because I haven't got them to hand, but like I really, really am happy with this. Earl Grey. I couldn't do English breakfast without doing Earl Grey. English breakfast is my favourite tea, and Earl Grey is my husband's favourite tea. You can see my little notes up here. I really wanted to have like Earl Grey. When you think about Earl Grey, a lot of like very soft tones come up, a lot of greys, a lot of purples, and I wanted to create that sort of muted palette with Earl Grey. Hibiscus. I think the thing I would change about this one probably is the border. I would probably have it as like an orangey tone instead of like that harsh black, but I really like this one. I love how I've done her horns so much. She looks very sweet. Lavender, oh, this one. Yet again, it's going into, I did a lot of purples for this this book, but this one's really sweet. I really love this orange contrast with the purple. I think that orange contrast against that purple really helps the colour palette overall, and I tried to add it into like certain elements so that it would all tie back in. But lavender, little child. Green tea, oh, this one is so sweet. I actually do have somewhere the original green tea, so just to show you, this was the original green tea, and while this has a lot of charm to it, I can definitely see the growth and the difference between them both. Like, I feel like my dragons have almost like matured almost. I've gotten a lot better at drawing them. This one's got a massive head, but like, you know, I feel like it's matured over the years, and that's what Little Green Tea is all about. This one's chai. I knew that if I was gonna do tea, I wanted to do like some different like types of tea, and like chai is tea. It's got such a wonderful like flavor pattern to it as well. I just really like tea, guys. Okay. And I really wanted to get, like, the colors of this give me like 1960s 1970s like mod era, and that's kind of like the vibe I was going for. That's why I like this mug, because I got the same vibes as the back as well. Peppermint. I love peppermint tea. It's a lot of blues to contrast against the greens and the yellows to sort of like make the colours pop a little bit more. This one was a gouache, and this one's just sort of like an experiment that I wanted to do, and I really love the elements of this. I wish I'd made this dragon more yellow though to contrast with the blues, but this was a gouache experiment. And then we are back to oolong. So this is all the illustrations that I did for Teacup Dragon Book 2, The Magic of Tea, which as of Friday this week is going to be up on the store. In fact, when you see this video, it's probably going to be up on the store. So this, as well as a bunch of prints and the new enamel pins, which I'm very, very excited about. I've been wanting to do enamel pins for such a long time, and to be able to do it is quite a privilege. But yeah, this will be available up on the store, as well as the original book as well. So if you wanted to go and grab yourself a copy, you can do. But yeah, thank you for seeing all of my art for The Magic of Tea. This was a really fun project to work on. I wanted to do something that was Teacup Dragon related, just because next year I'm going to be concentrating so much on the world of Marie and Prickles. I really want to grow that universe, and with it being Prickles' 10-year anniversary, I felt like, you know, kind of have to like pay like almost an entire year of doing Prickles and Lavender and Marie and Freya and Cap and Gus, and the way I want to do it is I'm going to split the year up into different seasons, and each season is going to be dedicated to a different character in the Marie and Prickles universe. So I hope you enjoy that journey, but thank you all so much for watching and for seeing all my stupid explanations for The Magic of Tea. This was a really fun project, and I'm really glad that it's out there in the world now. And you know, it makes me very happy that this little tiny illustration that started in a sketchbook has now become a project that is very near and dear to my heart. The Teacup Dragons are in, you know, they're in the same universe as Marie and Prickles, and to grow that universe and grow its characters mean an awful lot. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Remember to love what you do, and as always folks, stay creative. Bye. So I guess this is part of the outtakes. Yeah? Yeah? Is it the Bella show? It's always the Bella show, isn't it? Yeah? This is because I did not lie in with her this morning and give her cuddles, eh? And now she's mad. And she's like, no, this is my spot. I have a lot of product photography to do today, Bella. We've got a store update to work on. And I've got videos to film. And oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. What do you think of this one? This one? I'm not a fan of this one. What about this? Ah! She's scary. She's so scary. She's so scary.